So we continue inshallah. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, hamdan yuwafi ni'amahu wa yukafi'u mazida wa salatu wa salam ala khayl anam wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. إننا نوينا التعلم والتعليم والتذكر والتذكير والنفع والانتفاع والإفادة والاستفادة والدعاء إلى الهدى والدلالة على الخير والحث والتمسك بكتاب الله وسنة رسول الله ابتغاء مرضات الله وقربه وثوابه سبحانه وتعالى. Praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a praise that's worthy of a beneficent bestower of bounties and favours, and we ask our Lord Most High, the Exalted, the Sovereign, Creator and Controller of all that's in the universe, to send copious, unlimited and eternal blessings upon our beloved Prophet Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Amma ba'd, and we acknowledge the traditional owners of the land in which we sit and teach, and which we hold this class, and we pay our respects to the elders past and present. So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we finished the chapter on gratitude, and we finished the chapter on self-discipline. And any individual who considers themselves a traveller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a seeker of truth and justice, by embodying those two chapters, as the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam, al-Iman, he said what? It's two parts. One part is sabr, and the other part is shukr. One part is gratitude, and the other part is self-discipline. So if we master those two chapters, and we went through them in a considerable amount of detail, we broke them down to the basic principles and made it as easy as possible for anyone, inshallah, to follow, to understand, to comprehend and to implement in their lives, and to call others to that way. And the person who truly has any kind of hope that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them a status in the next life, and any kind of hope that they'll be an emulator of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam in this life, and have nearness and proximity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the Prophet of Allah alayhi wa sallam in the next life, has to, without doubt, bila shak, has to embody those two chapters which we completed over the last few weeks. And the reminding and the stringent nature of the constant reminding by us on that chapter is because they're the two basic aspects of Iman, as the Prophet said, alayhi salatu wasalam. They're the two basic aspects that will allow us to lead our lives in a way that we end up being happy, that we're content, that we're fulfilled as human beings, and that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pleased with us, and the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is also pleased with us. It's as simple as those two aspects, having self-discipline on one side and then having gratitude on the other. So we continue this week inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala about what the Imam is saying, and what the Imam is discussing, and it's chapter 30, and he says, فصل قال المؤلف رحمه الله رضي الله عنه وعنكم نفعنا به وبكم. He says, وعليك بالزهد في الدنيا فإنه بشير السعادة ومظهر العناية وعنوان الولاية، وكما أن حب الدنيا رأس كل خطيئة كذلك يكون بعدها رأس كل طاعة بغضها رأس كل طاعة وحسنة، ويكفيك مزهدا في الدنيا أن الله تعالى سماها في عدة موادع من كتابه العزيز متاع الغرور. So he says, وقال الحسن رحمه الله تعالى متاع الغرور كخضرة النبات ولعب البنات. وقال الشيخ أبو طالب المكي رحمه الله تعالى متاع الغرور اسم للجيفة المتنتنة، وقد حصر الله تعالى الدنيا في اللهو واللعب الذين لا يلتفت إليهما عاقل ولا يعرج عليهما إلا كل غبي جاهل. فقال الله تعالى وما الحياة الدنيا إلا لعب ولهو وإلى آخر ذلك. He says, it was a bit long, I apologize, but it was all tied in together, so it was important to continue it all so that we can get it all in one go, inshallah. He says, you must, on Renunciation, chapter 30, you must renounce the world, for renunciation is the forerunner of felicity, the manifestation of providence, and the sign of sanctity. Just as loving the world is the origin of all sins, so also is hating it the origin of all obedience and excellence. It is enough to make you renounce the world to know that in numerous passages in His book, God has called it the comfort of illusion. So if we go to point 71, is it 71? 71, yep. He says, the life of this world is but comfort of illusion. The comfort of this, so he's reciting the different verses. The comfort of this world is scant. The hereafter is better for those who are God-fearing. Know that the life of this world is only play, distraction, ornaments, and boasting amongst you, and rivalry in respect of wealth and children. Ila akhiriha, the life of this world is but comfort of illusion. So he's giving the Imam's giving the mutarjim, the translators giving the examples from the actual verses of the Qur'an. They relate to that word, mata' al-ghurur. He says in the al-Hasan, who knows which Hasan al-Basri, he said, may God have mercy on him, said, it is as the greatness of vegetation and the toys of girls. So if we look again, 72, green vegetation looks beautiful but easily turns into dry straw. As for girls' dolls, they are treated as if alive when they are really a deceitful appearance of life devoid of any reality. He says, and Abu Talib al-Makki, who's one of the teachers, his book is the precursor to Ihya Ulumuddin of Abi Hamid al-Ghazali. He said, may God have mercy on him, said, the comfort of illusion is a name for a putrefying carcass. And God the Exalted defined the world as being but a distraction and play to which no intelligent person should pay any attention, and to which only ignorant fools are attracted. Then he gives the verse, the life of this world is nothing but play and illusion. So, nasty. Right? We love this world. We're attached to this world. We're in this world. We eat from this world. And it's all around us. It's hard to, unless you go into space, it's hard to escape. And unfortunately, that's the physical aspect of it. And that's la ba's bih. In other words, it's not as bad as one's philosophy or one's ideology or one's methodology in life being an attraction or an enjoyment or trying for one to attain one's fulfillment of the life of this world. That's when it's really dangerous. To eat and drink and enjoy the affairs of the world is one thing. But when one's mind, when one's heart, when one's soul, when one's purpose, when one's reason for living is the worldly things that we have on this earth, then that's where the problems not only begin, but that's where they end, unfortunately. And so the Imam, he's giving us an insight into how a person can elevate. So this is going from beyond the status of being self-disciplined, and beyond. Well, the last point of self-discipline, number 4, was what? Discipline on what? Desires. On desires. So really, that's where it comes into. Really, that's where it comes into. How one can train one's mind, one's being, one's state, one's faculties to elevate above the status of just desires. And like we said, the other ones are pretty easy. The other aspects of self-discipline and self-control aren't as hard. But the self-discipline and self-control one has to have over one's own desires, living in the first world, it's a monumental task. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing. Anyone who thinks it is not really trying or is deluded in that regard. So the reason why I mention the difficulty of it is so that we can be prepared. If one goes on an arduous journey, one knows what to take along on that journey. If one's going down the road to the milk bar, there's no more milk bars, whatever, to the corner shop, then thongs and a pair of trackies or whatever will probably do. But if one's going on a journey to the other side of Australia, then they have to prepare a little bit further. And if one's going on a journey by foot in the mountains, climbing up a mountain or whatever, climbing up through a place where there isn't any roads, and again, the provision one needs to take along have to be commensurate with the difficulties that one faces when they're embarking on that journey, on that trek. And so the reason why we talk about the difficulties of one's desires is because we've got to be ready. We have to prepare the zad, as it's called, the zad, the provisions that we need to enable us, bi'idhnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to conquer and to overcome and to hadhib is like to tame, so to speak, the desires which we all feel and we all have, and which are further fanned, in other words, the flames of those desires are further fanned by the society in which we live in. a materialistic society, a consumer society, a capitalistic society. So that means we're constantly being reminded and being told how great the dunya is, how great the things of this world are. And for us to overcome that and go beyond that, if we're not ready for that challenge, if we're not prepared for that journey, unfortunately we won't make it. Unfortunately, that's not something that I want to say, and I'm sure it's not something that you want to hear. Unfortunately, that's the reality of the world in which we live in. That's the reality of the time in which we live in. That's the reality of the circumstances in which we live in. And there's two things in terms of the fuqaha, in terms of the jurists, what they say. They say there's the fiqh, the halal and haram, and there's the fiqh al-waqi'. Fiqh al-waqi'. Fiqh al-waqi' is the understanding of the contemporary times in which a person lives. And if one doesn't understand the times in which a person lives, then how can they apply the law? Because the law isn't something that exists in a vacuum. It doesn't exist in a vacuum. It exists in reality. It exists on earth. It exists in application in circumstances and situations that arise. And so we need to understand that the difficulty of the task that we face can't be overstated. Yet the nusra of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the divine support and help of Allah Azza wa Jal, ma'as sabirin. Allah ma'as sabirin. Allah ma'al muhsinin. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the patient. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves those who have self-discipline. So if we can maintain that self-discipline to whatever extent it may be, then Allah's help will come and help us to continue the rest of that journey. But to start that journey for an individual, to embark on that trek, it's not an easy thing. Because one has to say, I am going to basically go against everything around me. I'm basically going to go against everyone around me. It's not going against it in terms of having enmity or having conflict with other people. It's that what I'm saying, what an individual is saying, is the path that I've chosen is different to the path of the majority of people around me. And that in itself causes conflict. As soon as you want to do something that others aren't doing around you, right there's a conflict. Straight away, because people want you to follow what they're doing, so it's easier for them to justify to themselves what they're doing. Once you do something that's not in accordance with what those around you are doing, then you're saying to them, by action, think about it. Think about what you're doing. Is that really the right thing to do? And they don't want to do that, because they're fully indulged and enamored in the affairs of the world. They're fully into it. They're fully drunk in the potion, and they don't see anything else. And they don't want you to come along with your actions and show them that, wait a minute, maybe this isn't right, because they've invested everything they have into it. They've invested their lives, they've invested their akhirah, they've invested their bodies, they've invested all these different things into that understanding that they've formed or have that they've been duped into. And that's it. They're not going to accept anything else. So just by taking that action, just by making that commitment to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the Prophet said, the man came to the Prophet ﷺ, and he said, Ya Rasulullah, I love you. He said, prepare for faqr, prepare for destitution. We were surprised. Well, that's his path, ﷺ. That's his way. So we want to have that on one side. We want to have on the other side that it's not that I just throw out all my clothes and I throw out all my shoes and I stop going to school and I stop learning and I stop going to work and I stop socializing with my friends and I stop and I stop and I stop and I stop and I stop. It's not that. There's a balance in terms of the zuhd. So the zuhd is our i'tiqad. It's our conviction. It's something that we have inside of us. It's something that we want to live by. Zuhd meaning, as he says, renunciation, zuhd, and because he says biz-zuhdi. So zuhd actually means to be an ascetic. So someone who is not enamored and not someone who is not chasing the world. Unlike, I don't know if you guys even know about hippies. I mean, they were around back in the day. You guys know what hippies are? They have a combi van, they drive around, they just live whatever, they live a natural life. Kind of like that. Right? So it's kind of like that. Not i'tiqadan, not with our creed or our conviction, but with the way of life. That the believer, in essence, isn't anchored to this earth because of the material aspects of this earth. The believer is anchored to this earth because it's a mazra'atul akhirah. It's the field that one plants plants or vegetation in order to harvest for the next life. That's our only attachment to this world. So we have to weigh that up. That doesn't mean we can't have nice things, right? It doesn't mean we can't have good jobs and have nice cars and good clothes and whatever it might be. But the issue is, the easiest way I've heard it described is, the dunya should be in our hands rather than our hearts. So that it should be a mata'. It should be something that we use, a good that we use to get to Allah Azza wa Jal. It should be something that we have to get to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not saying that we have to keep. I want to keep everyone away from it because it's mine. I want to keep it shiny. I want to keep it new. I want to look after it. I want to protect it. I want to make sure that it's... But if we do have something, we should do that. Because it's a ni'mah, yeah? It's a bounty from Allah. Yep. Well, let's call it a day and come back after the holidays, or... No, we're all right to go. All right, so I should look after it because it's from Allah, but that shouldn't be my purpose in life. It should be something that I use to get me to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Something that I use on the way. Like if you have money, you have $1 or $2 or whatever it is, dollar doesn't go very, very far these days. $5 and you want to go somewhere. You can't have the money and travel. You can't have the money and go in your car without putting petrol. You can't have the money and jump on public transport without spending it. You can't have both. So that $5, you're using it to get from A to B. You all right? From wherever you are. From A, from Auburn, to B, to Bankstown. Okay? So you're traveling from those two places, but you've got to give something up for it, and that's that $5. And that's the same with the dunya. We're going from this earth to the next life, from this life to the next life. And the thing that we use is in Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina amwalahum wa anfusahum. Another verse, anfusahum wa amwalahum. The main one is anfusahum wa amwalahum. There's 3 or 4 verses like that, and one verse amwalahum wa anfusahum bi anna lahumul jannah. So our bodies, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has purchased from the believers their bodies and their, if you like, dunya things, money. What's the compensation? Jannah. So Allah's saying, give me the temporary, I'll give you the permanent. Give me the limited, I'll give you the unlimited. That's the bargain that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the deal that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made with us. Like, it's been Boxing Day shopping, whatever they call it, Black Friday or whatever. And people were insane during that time because there's bargains on. There's deals. And so people drive in their cars, waiting in line for, like, we drove past the Auburn one here, Auburn shop. I swear the line was at least 200 or 300 metres. Minimum. It went around and around and around, and then you couldn't even park in the place. You had to go park streets and streets and streets away. For what? For people to give their hard-earned cash over, or not even credit, on 17.5% interest when I'll be led to pay later on. That's the bargain. That's the deal. So when there's a good deal on, people know it. Yeah? And they call their friends, hey, guess where I am? I'm somewhere, there's a deal. Come down and get a deal. Is there a better deal than giving 60 or 70 years for eternal life? Has there ever been a better deal? There hasn't. No one can beat that deal. No one can beat that deal. And we'll talk a little bit about it, inshallah. But that's the payoff. It's not that we don't have nice things. Yeah, it's that we do, but it's not, the maqsad, the purpose isn't those nice things. It's not that we're not the presidents and CEOs and whatever else, chairmen of the board and whatever else, chairpersons of the board and whatever else. It's not that we're not that. The question is that, why are we doing that? And what are we trying to accomplish by doing that in compared to the other things? So they're the things that we need to consider, and they're the things we need to think about when we're living the life that we lead. And really, it's not just that, that's the choice that we have to make. Either I make the choice that I'm a consumer, because that's what we are, right? No one looks at us as a human being. You're a number. Either it's a tax file number, or an ABN, or a credit card number. Hey, how you going? Good, I want to buy that. Give us your credit card number. Oh, what about that secret code at the back? Give me the secret code too. You're a number. You were born according to this system. You were born and not created, mind you. And you're going to die and nothing's going to happen after you die. That's it. And so we may as well use you to make money, to have more of the dunya than you've got. That's the choice. It's that, or, and as the Sahaba they call people from the dhulumat ad-dunya, ومن ضيق الدنيا إلى سعة الآخرة, from the tightness or the constriction of this world as to the expanse of the next world. And so they're the choices that we have to make. We have to make that actual choice. Are you a consumer? Which is what? What are the musrifin? The khawan al-shayateen. The consumers, in reality, is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they're the brothers of the devils. In other words, they're devils. Or, I'm a abd. Or a amma. Abd is the male version of a abd, as a servant, and amma is the female version. The choice is mine. The choice is mine. No one can make me do it. No one can force me to do it. I have to make that choice myself. I have to come to the conclusion, either I'm a consumer, and that's what we are, or I'm something else. And each of us has to make that choice and then commit to that decision they've made and live by that commitment. And it's not an easy thing to do because we're constantly being called to what? To buy, to buy, to buy, to buy, to buy. And people, that's how they get their relief. What do they call it? When people, retail therapy. They're like, what retail therapy? You know? There's no therapy in that. No.
You know how you were saying we have a choice, so either a consumer and then something else. Is the something else just going, how you were saying, against the grain or against the majority of what people do? Is there another choice?
Well, that's up to you how you want to play it.
Okay.
The question is, we're talking in the first instance about your i'tiqad, about your conviction. What am I going to be on this, what's the meaning of life type deal? What am I on this earth? What is my purpose here? Is something a little bit different, but what am I? How am I going to look at myself when I get up in the morning to comb my hair and brush my teeth or whatever? How do I look at myself? How do I rate my own self? How do I categorize myself as a human being? Is it as a consumer or is it as something else? And then that something else is there for each one of us to decide. But that's the only real option that we have these days. In the first world. Second world and third world is a different story. But us being people of the first world, they're the issues that we face. Because we don't have to worry about, like especially in Australia, alhamdulillah, rabbil alameen, we have HECS. You don't even have to have money to go to uni. Just pay it off later if you have enough money, which is an awesome system. It's a sensational system. So we don't have to worry about what you want to be in terms of your profession. Just pick it and go. The good thing, even the system in Australia is different to like the United States. You do all these general subjects first, and then you start off the first couple of years, and then you start to major in your third and fourth year. No, you don't have to worry about that. You go into engineering from day one. They teach you engineering. You become an engineer or accounting or whatever it might be. So you don't have to worry about that. In the other worlds, you got to, because no one's going to pay for you to go to uni. No one, if you want to go to uni, you got to make that decision a long time, get the best marks possible, and have some sort of miracle job to come from somewhere or miracle payment for you, no matter how good a student you are, so that you can go to university. We don't have that issue. So you can be whatever you want to be in terms of work. There's no only real limit is your intelligence, really. But then you can go mature age, and you can do go to TAFE and do a couple of courses and work up to it, and then later on you can do it. It might take you longer. That's not an issue for us. So we can be in terms of our profession basically there's limits, but basically there really isn't limits. Whatever you want to be. That's not the question. And that's not a question that we're asked. Only when you're young, what do you want to be when you grow up? And then after you grow up, no one asks you that no more. When you go to uni, and then what are you studying? I'm studying social work. That's it. Clear. You're going to be a social worker. No one asks you anymore. But only when you're young, when you don't know, they ask you. But when you've done it, no one. If you have a law degree, no one says, what do you want to do? It's obvious you're going to be a lawyer. Even if you don't want to be a lawyer, that's what the expectation is, because you've done it. So it's not those aspects, not those things, right? And even if you want to be, even in the entertainment industry, if you want to be a sports person, whatever, basketballer, you're not being a basketballer because you love basketball. Why you want to be a good basketballer? Right, cashola or cashish, whichever one you like. Right, so you get paid. Why do you want to be a singer? Not because you like singing, because you get paid at the end of the day, or an actor, or whatever, actress, whatever it might be. So that's our whole, anything you do these days, anything you do, the goal has to be, well, that's what the expectation is, the goal has to be manito, That's another one. That's, you know, that's what the push is towards. That's what the push is towards. And when someone isn't like that, you tell me how you react to someone when you meet when they're not like that. Nishma is, right? We feel a bit, it's against the grain. Like, wait a minute, this person doesn't want money. This person's main purpose in life and main focus in life is not money. Wait a minute, that's a bit obtrusive. It's a bit, you know, incongruent to what everyone else is doing, because, you know, everyone else is, and I'm used to that. I'm used to that. So that's what it comes back down to for us. We have to make that choice. Even as Muslims. Alhamdulillah, I'm Muslim. Awesome. But what's my i'tiqad? What's my conviction in my Islam? What's my conviction, not in my Islam, what's my conviction as a person? Where do I can be a Muslim and be a consumer. I can pray and fast. Mate, isn't it Muslim the one who completes, believes in Allah, the Prophet of Allah, and does the 5 prayers? It's a Muslim. The next one is a mu'min. So anyone can be a Muslim and still be, you know, what do they call it? Hype beast. I don't know if you know that one. People that buy like sneakers, and they buy like, you know, 50 pairs of sneakers, and I just learned it the other day, hype beast. Alright, so they want to be that. Why? They want to have 200 pairs. They buy sneakers that cost like $10,000. What, they got a TV in them? Is it a satellite? Is it, you know, I don't know. Anyway, they buy these sneakers, and the old sneakers too. They're like, oh, I bought these things. I'm like, I used to have a pair of them back in the 90s, man. They were like $80. Oh, now they're like, you know, $600, $700. I should have kept those shoes, you know. Anyway, where are you going? Where's the person going with these things? What's the end of it? How many pairs of shoes can you wear in a day? What's that person's i'tiqad? What's that person's conviction about life? Where do they want to be in life? What's the nihaya? What's the end of that? So this world is what? The dunya. And what's the end of it? What's the end called? What's the last thing in Arabic called? Akhir, right? That's the akhirah. So that's the comparison. The two comparisons is, firstly, how do we live in this dunya? That's now. And then how do we compare this, the dunya, dani, which means close. How do we compare that which is close, which is the dunya, to that which is far, which is what? Akhirah. So there are two tests. The balancing of how to live in this world and how to eat, sleep, drink, dress, drive, sleep in a home, whatever it might be, a job, all that sort of stuff, marriage, house, spouse, husband, whatever it might be, spouse, and at the same time, so that's laterally, and the other way, whatever it is, what's close, dunya, and what's far, akhirah. So that's the kind of the graph that we're drawing in our minds, so that we can understand what we want to be. We want to understand what our convictions are. We want to understand, inshallah azza wa jal, how to get to Allah. So when we come back, bi'idhnillah, after Maghrib, we'll just finish that chapter, and then we'll go from there. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. If anyone needs to take wudu. Bashiru as-sa'ada wa madharu al-inaya wa anwanu al-walaya. Says you must renounce the world, for renunciation is the forerunner of felicity. I think really that those 3 lines really, so that one sentence sums it up. The manifestation of providence. He says, وَمَظْهَرُ الْعِنَايَةِ. In other words, the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَعَنْوَانِ الْوِلَايَةِ. Then the sign of, well, maybe not quite then. So he says, the Imam, he says that renunciation of the dunya, it's the precursor, Bashir, as-sa'ad. It's the precursor to happiness. So what's the corollary of that? In other words, what's the opposite of that? The precursor to happiness is the renunciation of the dunya. What's the precursor to sadness? Right? Attachment, loving the dunya. Yeah? So that's how you should always think of things if you can. It makes, not always, but it makes it sometimes easier to understand a concept when we think of the opposite of that concept. When anytime someone's given a definition, they say the meaning of this word is that, and the synonym, or the antonym, afwan, the opposite word is that. And they also give the synonym, which is like words, so we can understand the concept. Concepts are always good. The fuqaha do that, the jurists do that regularly. So yeah, this is the case, but the opposite is this, so that we can understand the case itself. Yeah? Inshallah. Okay? So, it's the forerunner of happiness, felicity. If a person wants to be content, I suppose, which is part of happiness, in this life, they have to renounce the dunya. They have to not be attached to it, not seek it in all circumstances, situations. وَمَظْهَرُ الْعِنَايَةِ, and it's the manifestation of providence. Inayah means the divine support of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Inayatullah, the care. They say al-inayah al-fa'iqa, intensive care. So inayah is care. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is concerned for that individual. The manifestation of the care of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for an individual starts with renunciation of the world. If a person doesn't renunciate the world, then how can Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala care for that individual when that person is caring for the world? وَعِنْوَانُ الْوِلَايَةِ, and is the sign of wilaya is not sanctity. Wilaya is a station or a maqam or a position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In other words, if you want to have an address with Allah, if you look at it a different way, then that address has to start with renunciation of the world. One can't be enveloped and attached to someone with saying and in love with the world and at the same time have a position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَكَمَا أَنَّ حُبَّ الدُّنْيَا رَأْسُ كُلِّ خَطِيئَةٍ كَذَلِكَ يَكُونُ بُغْضُهَا رَأْسُ كُلِّ طَاعَةٍ وَحُسْنٍ. He says, just as loving the world is the origin of all sins, so is hating it the origin of... Bughd is not directly hate. It's more a disdain for. It's a disdain. So one has a disdain for the affairs. In other words, doesn't like them. Or it doesn't have a miyul, an inclination towards them. Is the origin of all obedience and excellence. Now, like I said, it's heavy for us reading this stuff. Do you find it heavy, or is it like...
It's hard to understand or get your head around.
Right? Why? Why is it hard to understand? Because we're so involved in it. Whether we like it or we don't like it. Everything you see on TV, even now on your social media, everything's got ads on it and whatever else. You can't get away from it. The call of the dunya is over enveloping, and now it's even getting worse. Now it's going to be a watch, now it's a watch, then it's going to be a chip, and whatever else it's going to go to. It's going to things that, for us, we're thinking it's just convenience. So we're selling really our souls for convenience, which is what? What's convenience? Dunya. It's another form of dunya. It's another form of enjoying this world and being connected or attached to this world. It's another form of it. So we're selling it. Every time, the other day I tried to read those, do you agree to these things? I started reading. You know how long it was? It was about 60 pages. Seriously, 60 pages. And every time it's like, yeah, agree. So in the end, what are they going to put in those that we're agreeing to? I was thinking that. You know, when you upgrade or you get a new thing, when do they do it? When you get a software, apps, operating systems. Who knows what's in there? Maybe it says in there that, you can have my house, you can have my car, you can have my husband, you can have my wife, you can have my kids. Maybe that's what it says. I don't know. I'm agreeing. I seriously tried to read it. I'm a lawyer. I read contracts every day. I was like, man, this is too long. Get to the point. Too long. I started reading. So that's why am I doing that? Why am I just agreeing without reading it? Convenience. Why am I giving up all my information, everything that I am? Because we know that, especially the men, we can't give our phones up to anyone. It's like, don't touch my phone, man. Don't touch my phone, especially if it's unlocked. Don't touch my phone, So our whole life is contained in our phone, yeah? Yet we're giving it to someone, we're putting it up there in the ether, in the web, whatever it is, up in the world, up in the thingo, cloud. We don't even know who's accessing it. So we're scared for someone who we know to access it, let alone someone we don't know. Why? Convenience. What's convenience? Dunya. So that's the kind of situation, and because we're in that situation every single day, and almost every single minute of every single day, and almost every single second of every single minute of every single hour of every single day, it's hard for us to comprehend. We're like, come on, man, what dunya? I'm just living. Why? Why are you trying to bust my chops with all this dunya business? It's not dunya. I don't have a mansion. I don't have a Rolls Royce. I'm just simple. Okay, like we said, there's more to it. There's more to it than what we imagine it to be. And so it's tough. It's tough. It's like someone come and talk about your father or your mother or your brother, someone you don't know very well. Yeah, your brother did this and your brother did that and your sister did this. You're like, wait, hold on a second. That's not, I'm attached to that person. I've got a connection, let's say mother, because not many of us hate our mothers. We might not get along with our fathers or our brothers or our sisters, but not many of us hate our mothers. All right, so my mum, What do you mean? My mum's a good... But we don't really know our mums. We only know the mum that we know. Her name might be, let's say, Khadija. We don't know Khadija, whatever her name is. We know our mum. So she might be a villainous human being. You don't know. But we can't handle someone talking about our mum because of the attachment. Right? Because we're attached to our mum. We don't like it. We don't like... And you know, the Arabs, they don't like anyone talking about their family either. Oh, I'm from this tribe. Don't talk about my tribe, man. My qabila. It's a problem. Don't talk about my city. Why? It's an attachment. Oh, iPhone or Samsung. Don't talk about iPhone. I got an iPhone, man. Don't talk about... That's how it is. That's how it is. We don't like it. Anything that we're attached to, we don't like to talk. We don't like anyone to talk about it because it's a representation of who we are as people. And the dunya, the more deeper we are into it, and the more it's a conviction for us, the harder it is to be talked about. And it's hard. Like we said, because we're attached to it, man. Well, I'm going to give up my nice fine threads. No, I don't want to give them up. I don't want to give up these things. I don't want to do these things because I'm attached to it. I've got a commitment to it. So, he says, just as loving the world is the origin of all sins. It's such a big hadith, man. أخوف ما أخاف عليكم الدنيا أن تتنافسوها. He says, the Prophet ﷺ, أخوف ما أخاف. We've said this hadith many times because it's a hadith that we, unfortunately, is relevant to our times more than most hadith. So the Prophet said, the thing of fear that I most fear for you, or alaykum, about you, is ad-dunya. Not just the dunya, أن تتنافسوها أو أن تنافسوها, depending on the riwayah, that you become in competition with it. There'll be competition about the dunya. And then the hadith goes, you know, that, and each of you will start to detest the other. وَيَحْسَدْ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا وَيَضْرُبْ رِقَابَ بَعْضُكُمْ بَعْضًا. In the end, you'll start killing each other over what? Not that you know, we're not that who's got what of the dunya, but the competition over who's got what. There's not actually who's going, oh, I know you've got a Bentley and I've got a Datsun, and I don't have Datsun, Toyota, right? I know that your Bentley's better than my Toyota, but I'm competing with you to see who's better. I don't like that. I'm jealous. When I hold the billah, hasad. Al-hasad, what does hasad do? Al-haliqa, he said, alayhi salatu wasalam. Hasad is al-haliqa. It's the shaver, not of hair, he said, but of the deen. Hasad is the shaver of the deen. Oh, don't worry about that. It goes further. The person who kills another person, Muslim who kills another Muslim, they're forever in the abode of the hellfire. When not only they got no deen, they got no recompense because they went ultimately going to the hellfire. Over what? Over what? I know the guy's got a Bentley and I got a Toyota, but I don't care. It's the competition. Is he better than me, or is she better than me? Over what? The amti'at dunya, the material things. Isn't that what's happening now? How is someone considered better than someone else? Especially if you're Lebanese, if you've got a Mercedes or a Porsche or whatever, oh, this is all right, this bloke. Doesn't matter what he's done to get it. Doesn't matter what the person's done to get it. And if they haven't, doesn't matter how honest and righteous and a good person they are. If they don't have those things, darwish, haram. Feel sorry for that person. They don't know how to organise themselves in the affairs of this world. They're just a simple person, simpleton. Darwish, simpleton. That's the culture. That's the culture. If someone comes to marry the daughter, what's he do for work? They don't ask, does he pray? Does he fast? You should ask what they do for work, but not the first thing. Does he pray? Does he fast? Where's he from? Is he Lebanese? You know, I'm Lebanese, so I can talk about the Lebanese, right? Is he Lebanese? Is he, which tribe, which part of Lebanon is he from? And at the end, does he fast and pray? That's the last thing we consider, because it's not a thing for status, not a thing of status. We don't count that until the end. Pray, he prays, doesn't pray, don't worry, he's got money, ahlan wa sahlan, he's got cash, he's got an education, he's got a business, he's got this kind of car, his parents have got from this family, have got that kind of money. We have to worry about those things, but it's not the major consideration. Firstly is the person have good conduct, good akhlaq, good character, and good deen. Vice versa. Man tardawna dina wa khuluqa. So the deen comes first according to the Prophet ﷺ. Have they got a good deen? Good. What's their character like and their conduct and their disposition? Good? Okay, then look at the other things. If the guy can't support his wife, then obviously it's not going to work. If he can support his wife, then let's go. That's the next step after that, inshaAllah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, that's what he said, alayhi salatu wasalam. Then he said, So, he says, also is hating it or to denounce or to detest it, the origin of all obedience and excellence. Now, it's not lidhatiha, so to speak. It is in a way. It is in a way. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created the dunya, He never looked at it again. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created this earth, He created it and never considered it ever again. That's it. Done. And then He says, there's another hadith, I think it's even mentioned in this one. I think Imam mentions it. Anyway, he says, if the dunya was worth anything in the sight of Allah, if the dunya was worth more than the wing of a gnat, it is mentioned here. So don't worry about that one. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if the dunya had any value, He wouldn't have given a disbeliever even one drink of water, one mouthful of water. But it doesn't have any value intrinsically in and of itself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The value of the dunya is the value of the body and the human being. Those things they're mirrors to each other. So we have a body and we need to look after it, we need to clean it, we need to maintain it, we need to feed it and nourish it. But the purpose of life isn't the body. Remember we spoke last time about the guys, the bodybuilders, bigorexia, they spend 7-8 hours a day working out, they neglect everything else and they just worry about their body. But then they die at 42. 43, their hearts explode because of the amounts of steroids and other drugs they take. Because they have to take drugs to maintain the drugs that they're taking. So the steroids are taken to get big, they've got to take other drugs to keep the balance. Like it's a full chemical, thing. It's fully heavy duty stuff. And then they die at 42. What did they do? They didn't even get I'm going to read you the hadith. Inna dunya daru man la dara lah. Wa mala man la mala lah. Wa laha yajma'u man la aqla lah. وعليها يعادي من لا علم له وعليها يحسد من لا فقه له ولها يسعى من لا يقين له. So he says, this is the dunya. This is not my words. This is the Prophet ﷺ. He says, Inna dunya dara man lad. This world is the home of those who have no home. In other words, they got no akhirah. وَمَالَ مَنْ لَا مَالَ لَهُ. Right? And the mal is not just money, but it's the wealth. The wealth of the fortune, the better word. It's the fortune of those who have no fortune, the real fortune. Because this fortune finishes, does it not? Nothing in this world lasts forever. And يَجْمَعُ لَهَا مَنْ لَا عَقْلَ لَهَا. And the person who constantly gathers and gains increases in their wealth, they're brainless. This is why. They're going to leave it all behind. No one has ever taken their wealth with them. Fir'aun, Haman, Qarun, all these people, no one ever took. So obviously the person that's collecting in this world is a dope. He's a bit stupid. Because what for? What are you collecting? Why would you collect something you can't take with you? How does that make sense? Right? وَعَلَيْهَا يُعَادِ مَنْ لَا عِلْمَ لَهُ. And whoever's on this earth and has enmity between that person and another, that means they've got no knowledge. In other words, they don't know they're going to die. Because the thing they got enmity about also is going to finish. It's temporary. It's finite. وَعَلَيْهَا يَحْسَدُ مَنْ لَا فِقْهَ لَهُ. And the person who has hasad, who has envy for another, that person doesn't understand, has got no comprehension of the world. Because what is that individual having envy over? Something that's fani, that's temporary. And he says, وَلَهَا يَسْعَى مَنْ لَا يَقِينَ لَهُ. And the one who makes it their i'tiqad, their sa'i, their purpose and their focus in life, that person has no real conviction. Because anyone with real conviction wouldn't make it the purpose of their life. Or another one, I like the hadith. It says, "Man asbaha ad-dunya akbaru hammihi, falaysa fi Allahi fi shay'in wa alzamahu Allah arba'a khisal." He says that whoever man asbaha, the person who the dunya becomes their biggest concern, the world, the affairs of this world becomes their biggest concern. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's no contract, no deal between that person and Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes them have 4 qualities. Now I want you to think about this in terms of the disbelievers and the theory of the Big Bang Theory and the theory of evolution and that we come from nothing. This is what the Prophet said, 1400 odd years ago. He said, "Hamma la yaqta'u anhu abada." He said, a concern, anxiety, that never ceases or desists. Never, never, abada, he said, ever. A concern, a worry that never desists. وَشُغْلًا لَا يَتَفَرَّغَ مِنْهُ أَبَدًا. And work which never finishes. Work that never finishes. They're constantly working, never finishes. They're on holidays. Ring me, don't worry, I'm on holidays, but just give me a call. I'll take the call. I'll got an email. Don't want to say who said it to me. وَفَقْرًا لَا يَبْلُغُ غِنَاءَهُ أَبَدًا. And poverty that a person will never reach the stage of not needing, of ghina, of not being in need. That it's a poverty or a destitution which they're constantly going to be in need. Right? And وَأَمْلًا لَا يَبْلُغُ مُنْتَهَاهُ أَبَدًا. And hopes and desires and hopes and dreams that one can never achieve. That are unachievable at all, ever. Is that the person of the dunya or what? Let's look at the first world. Hum la yaqta'u anhu abada. Hum, a worry. Oh, we all worry, we're all stressed out, man. Mental health is becoming the boom industry. We're all stressed. We've got everything we need, but mind you, we've got everything we need, but it's what we want that we don't have that's worrying us. Okay? وَشُغْلٌ لَا يَتَفَرَّغُ مِنْهُ أَبَدًا. And work that we can't stop working. Now they're saying, the judges are complaining they have to retire at 70. They're saying, I can go more. Why 70? That's when I'm hitting my peak. Alright? وَفَقْرًا لَا يَبْلُغُهُ غِنَاؤُهُ أَبَدًا. And a poverty, we constantly think we're poor, in other words. First world or what? We're always complaining, not enough. People always whinging, not enough money. People can't eat, we can eat, drink, alhamdulillah. First world or what? وَأَمَلًا لَا يَبْلُغُهُ مُنْتَهَاهُ أَبَدًا. And hopes and dreams and desires that just keep on going and extending, and then there's no muntaha, there's no end to our dreams. Well, everyone wants to be a millionaire, Mahak. Isn't that what we're being told? You can do it. Believe and you can do it. Trace your dreams, right? Isn't that what we constantly hear? Always we're hearing it. There's no end to the dreams you can have. Dream on. Literally. Okay? That's the khasar. Now what's the issue? I'm going to end there because it's getting late. Okay? So why is it that the dunya is this problem? Why is it that it's this problem? Two aspects, two main aspects. There's many. One is that it's the finite versus the infinite. Right? The ending versus the never ending. And that's what they talk about, aqil. And the Imam later on, he calls people idiots and fools and dopes and whatever, because who would work for something that's finite and commit the whole life to something that's just going to end? That's it. In other words, either we're going to die, or as he says, the vegetation is going to get dry and die out. In other words, nothing lasts forever. Even the seasons, summer doesn't last forever, winter doesn't last forever, spring, nothing lasts forever in this world. Nor do we. It's finite. So it doesn't make sense for an individual who is aqil, who is an intellectual or intelligent human being, to chase that which is finite as a goal. That's the first aspect. The second aspect is it's a diversion from Allah. You can't have the dunya and Allah in one heart. They can't exist. Allah's too great. That's why we say Allahu Akbar. Allah is too great for in one individual's heart to exist the love of Him subhanahu wa ta'ala and all that's associated with Him, or the love of the dunya. One or the other. That's why really it comes down to that. It's not that Allah doesn't want us to enjoy. He says, we read it last week, Kulu washrabu, eat and drink. Eat and drink. So we'll talk a little bit more about it. But they're the two things I want you to think about. The finiteness of the world and the infiniteness of the world hereafter, and the diversion, the distraction that the earth creates, or the world, this world that we live in, the worldly life, that it distracts us from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can't have both, because sometimes you'll be distracted, sometimes with Allah. Sometimes that turns into junoon. Because you can't go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth all the time, every time, all the time. Human beings aren't made that way. Human beings aren't made, because if you turn off the light, then turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off, on. Even hearing it is like annoying. Like, it's enough. I get the point. Imagine when it's on, off, on. The human beings can't live that way. It's too difficult. We need that istiqamah. We need that consistency. And that's what we all seek in our lives as well. Okay, so any questions about any of that? Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nope. Any questions about anything else outside of that? No.
Sorry, I have a question about the topic. So you're saying number one is the finite.
Yep.
And then two is the distractions.
Right? Because
yep. What are they like? What's the heading of that? Like, what are the aspects of?
They're the reasons why the dunya, we reject the dunya. In other words, that's the reason, they're the reasons why we renounce the dunya. For those, they're the two predominant reasons. There are others, but they're the two predominant reasons why the akhirah, khayrun wa abqa. It's better and it's abqa, it's forever, everlasting. So they're the reasons. It's not that we hate the dunya, it's not that we should all, eat just dry bread and water. It's not that. It's not that Allah loves, for example, a person to do that than a person to do the other. It depends on the circumstance. And we're just opening that because it's a heavy topic for us because we don't want to hear it. We're attached to it. Whatever we think we are or not, if you're not attached to it, give me your phone. If you think you're not attached to the dunya, give me your phone. Give me the password and give me your phone right now. And I can't do it. It's too hard. We're too attached to it. So that's why we're trying to, I'll come to your question. We're trying to get a kind of comprehensive understanding in terms of what this is, but to get there, we have to get the foundational things. And the foundational things are those 2 points. That doesn't make sense, And this is what the ulama say, the scholars, they say, even if this world was made of gold and diamonds and all the best things, and it was finite and it was limited, and the next world was made of dirt and it wasn't very nice, but it was forever, which one would you chase? The one that's forever. Because it's infinite. It goes on and 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 on. Or would you prefer to have one meal of everything you've ever desired in your whole entire life at once? Or would you prefer to have an ordinary food every single day so you can live? No one's going to say the feast, except someone who's not 100% right upstairs. That's what the comparison is. But it's not. It's this world is made of dirt, and the next world is made of diamonds and lawali and lu'lu and pearls and silk and garments, green garments and whatever else is we can't even imagine. So how does that even make sense? Right? That's the finite versus the infinite. And the other one is that if one's goal is other than Allah, then they're gonna fail in this world. They're going to be a failure. And what's the major thing that deviates us from that, other than our nafus and the shaitan, is the dunya, right? And really the dunya, really, it's us. It's because our body is made from the dunya, right? From this earth. So really, in essence, the dunya is our own tamanniyat, our own inclinations. Those things that we want and those things that we desire, hello, first world. That's all we ever think about. What we want and what we desire, what we want and what we desire. That's why it's even harder for us. Because there pretty much isn't a time when we're not worrying about what we want. Food's there. Well, who's going home tonight and worrying about if they're going to have dinner or not? None of us. Or breakfast tomorrow. Or lunch tomorrow, the day after that. Or breakfast in a year. That doesn't even come in our comprehension that in 1 year's time, or if this is a hot summer, right? This is what people in the real world do. We don't live in the real world. We've got reality shows because they have to show us what the real world's like, So in the real world, people think, oh, look, the first month of this summer's been really hot. If it doesn't rain, then next year we're not going to have any food. That's a real concern. If you worry about that, you won't lose your mind. That's normal to think about. But if you worry, should I get the iPhone 10 or the iPhone 8, you're going to lose your mind. Because what do you mean? It's a phone. Whatever, it does a million things. Great, fantastic, awesome. But it's not saying that you should stress over. It's not saying that you need to stress over for weeks and weeks and weeks researching, checking all the reviews, speaking to all your friends. What should I? What shouldn't I? Should I get it? Should I? And by the way, I've got an iPhone 6. I went to the iPhone shop and I go to the guy, sell me the new iPhone. Does it really happen? I'm not making it up. Al-Haddad was there. He can witness it. Right? I said, sell me the new phone. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, what did this phone have that my phone doesn't have? And he said this. I said, my phone's got all those things. And then he's like, all right, this guy knows what he's talking about. I better tell him the truth. He's like, the only thing that's got a faster processor than yours. And I was like, what else? He goes, that's it. He said, actually, your phone's better because your phone's made of aluminium. The new one's made of glass. If you drop your one, it'll last. The other one won't last. So he saved me $1,500. Jazakallah khair. So that's the reality. That's the reality. When you get to the reality of something, you understand that thing. when you get to the reality of something, you understand it. That's why we want to get to the reality of this world. Inshallah, the reality of the world after, at least some comprehension of it. But if we understand the reality of this world, then we're more inclined to what's the reality of the next world. We can't really get the reality of the next world till we get there, unless like the Sahaba, they said that when the Prophet of Allah used to tell us about Jannah, Sayyidina Ali, he said it, because if I saw the hellfire or if I saw the paradise, it would not increase my conviction one iota. No.
Does like do people and relationships and things like that, is that part of the dunya?
Very good question. Yeah, it is, certainly. The way that we see ourselves and the way we want others to see us and the way we see others, certainly it is. But it's another door it's going to come up inshallah in the chapter, so we'll leave it for that. But even the ulama, what they say, one insight into that to think about, they say the biggest form of dunya is not actually the material things. The biggest form of dunya is the status that one attributes to oneself. That's the ultimate, because it's about azama, it's about respect, it's about stations, it's about how I should be treated by other people. And again, it's a first world thing. It's a first world. We've got a major issue with that. We have to always be respected, and why should I have to wait in the line? And the government should do something about that because I had to wait extra, and I can't. That's what goes through our minds. That's what goes through our minds when we reach an impasse or a difficulty in our day-to-day lives and fulfilling our day-to-day duties. It's not that Allah, right? It's not that Allah has put me in this situation for me to learn something of this situation. It's the government. It's this company doesn't know what they're doing. It's whatever. So we have overestimated our own significance, I suppose, and that's the biggest form of dunya.
I guess it's so entitlement.
It's entitlement. Yeah, that's right. It is. That's not what I'm saying. That's what the ulama are saying. People like Hamid al-Ghazali, Imam al-Ghazali, and these people, that's what they're saying. Because Because once you have that position to yourself, then your food has to be a certain way, your clothes have to be a certain way, the conditions you live in have to be a certain way. Like the other time we were driving on the freeway when we were going up the coast, I noticed that no one had their windows open. Why? Oh, it's too hot. Wait, it's summer, man. Like, it's supposed to be hot. No, we can't open our windows. So in winter, it has to always be whatever it is. What's room temperature? 24 degrees, is that what it is? Something, whatever, 20 odd degrees. So in winter it's 20 odd, in autumn it's 20 odd, spring it's 20 odd. So what for summer? Why are you going up the coast? What are you going to go up? What are you doing up the coast for? Just stay home, turn on the AC. No, we're disjointed from nature. Why? Because nature owes me something. We're disjointed from everything because everything owes me. I'm something. I'm somebody. I have that status. So it's the biggest dunya. It's the number one form of dunya because that's what the whole dunya really revolves around. In reality, that's what it revolves around. So we'll talk about that inshallah. So not next week and not the week after. Next week I have a break because I think you need one. And another week just to make sure that you recover from the break that you have because I know that you need a break. Inshallah. So the week after that, we'll reconvene. Try and read the material. Try and think about it. Try and think about those two types of, the two aspects of the dunya. One being finite and one being that it's a distraction from Allah Azza wa Jal. And try and think about your own relationship with the dunya. Try and think about your own relationship with the world around you. And I don't mean dunya by the earth. That's not what it is. Dunya meaning the state that we're living in, this worldly life. Try and think about it yourself. When you think about dunya, that word, does it create something in your heart? Does it make you feel a particular way? Does it make you react a particular way? Does it make you think about a certain thing? What's your attachment to those the dunyawi things, the things that revolve around you and the world in which you live in, this world? Or any other questions? Oh, good questions, mashallah.
You say that the dunya is everything that distracts you from Allah.
Not really, because then you will have Hajj as well. The Hajj, fasting. You can't do many main pillars of Islam without the dunya anyway.
Right, so like I said, it's not the earth.
Yeah.
It's this worldly life, right? The life, this current life in which we live in. It's not the earth, this earth, not directly anyway. That's not what it refers to. Like we call it the dunya. That's like a colloquial term for the earth. Al-Qura al-Ardiyya is the actual right phrase for it. Whatever that is. The Qura means the circle, planet Earth then. Planet Earth. So it's not planet Earth directly. Okay, because as the brother was saying, there's things you can get out of it. But the dunya is the attachments, I suppose, that we have to ourselves and this worldly life, the attachments that we have to this worldly life in and of itself, rather than just the physicality of the life in which we live in. Okay? Any other questions? About anything else? Any other things you wanted to ask about?